Good everyone, I welcome you back to class today. Today we're going to be considering a very special and important topic in maths. And you're going to see this topic mainly in senior secondary school level, precisely SS3. So for those of you in SS3 class, you have to take this topic very seriously because you're going to see it in your WAEC exams and NECO exams, very importantly. And then by the way, we did a lot of work in our previous videos. I've been getting a lot of beautiful comments from so many of you, and I'm very delighted and glad that a lot of persons are gaining value from what we are doing. It's a good one. Remember that this class is powered by First Class Learner Schools, and we always expect you to like, share, and comment on all our videos. We are on all social platforms, Facebook page, TikTok, the WhatsApp channel, and all of that. You just look out for us on anyone that is comfortable for you, and then you could follow us up. Today we're going to be talking about a very interesting topic, SURDS. I've outlined the lesson objectives. The first thing is the meaning of SURDS. The second one, there's the basic operations on SURDS, and then simplification of single SURDS, changing SURDS of the form this into single SURDS. So we will quickly get into it, and then we will still have so much more to do on SURDS. Hopefully in our next video, we will now begin to capture those other areas. So let's get into the meaning of SURDS. SURDS. What does SURD mean? There are three simple ways I will define SURD. Number one, SURDs are the square root of non-square numbers. The square root of non-square numbers. Now, luckily, we studied squares and square roots in our last class. So obviously, if we're talking about square roots, you know what I mean now. Having this, that's the symbol for square root. We talked about it in the last class, and we said this means the radical symbol. Now, we also ensured we found what the square numbers are. Square numbers are those numbers that we get when we multiply two numbers by itself. Take, for instance, 2 times 2, 4. 4 is a square number. 3 times 3, 9. 9 is a square number. 5 times 5, 25. 25 is a square number. So when you take square root of square numbers, you will realize that you are going to have back a whole number, which is 2. Now, in the case of SURDs, they are now square root of numbers that are not squares. For example, we have square root of 2. This is not a square number. Square root of 3. This is not a square number. So, examples of what I mean by this is square root of 2. This is a SURD. Square root of 3. This is a SURD. Square root of 50. This is a SURD. etc. As long as the number is not a square number, we refer the square root of those kind of numbers to a SURD. Secondly, we have the SURDs are irrational numbers. Many of us may not understand or know what irrational numbers are. Irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be expressed as a fraction. Irrational numbers are numbers that cannot be expressed as a fraction. So SURDs cannot be expressed as a fraction. That's what we mean. As a fraction. And most importantly, we also said that SURDs are non-recurring decimals. So in the exam hall, if you put up any of these three definitions, you're going to get your full mark. SURDs are the square root of non-square numbers. They are also referred to as irrational numbers. I've explained what irrational numbers are. And SURDs are also non-recurring decimals. Of course, irrational numbers are non-recurring decimals, if you know what I mean. Non-recurring decimals are those decimals that they have no end, but their digits do not repeat. So you see something like, many of us may have actually pressed something on the calculator, you get 0.7128. And another example of your non-recurring decimal is the pi, which is 22/7. This is an irrational number as well. So we are done with the first section. Let's go into the basic operations on SURD. When we talk about basic operations, what we mean is simply the mathematical symbols. We have the plus, we have the minus, we have the multiplication, and then the division. Now, how do we add SURDS? So the first thing we are going to talk about is now addition of SURDS. How do we add SURDS? For instance, if I have a SURD of this nature, root A plus root A, and we have another case, root A plus root B, you will notice that these two SURDs, the same number or letter is seen inside this radical symbol, which means they are referred to as like terms. It's more or less like you are adding 1 root A plus 1 root A. So see, like you are adding two things together. What this will give you is 2 root A. Because these two are not the same letters or number inside, you are not allowed to add them together because they are not like terms. So this is not the same thing as 2 root AB. This is not the same thing. This is not it. You can't add this, so you leave it like this. So we are done with addition. For example, I have root 2 plus root 2. This is going to give me 2 root 2. I have root 3 plus 2 root 3. What we have here is we have 1 root 3 and 2 root 3. This is going to give us 3 root 3. The same thing is also extended to subtraction. You cannot subtract terms that are not like. You cannot add terms that are not like. And then we now get into number 2, subtraction. Same thing is applicable. Same thing applicable. Same thing applicable to addition. We are going to stop at subtract or multiplication today. We have multiplication. I have multiplication of SURDS. Hope you don't mind if I clean that side. I have multiplication of SURDS. So observe what we have. There are cases in which we are going to have root A times root A. Now this is a case where you're going to have the same number in this radical symbol. Your answer is just simply A. For instance, root 3 times root 3. Just write 3. Because root 3 times root 2 will give you root 9. And root 9 is the square root of 9, which will give you 3. Those two things you're going to multiply to get 9. And then when you have a number like root A times root B, you are allowed to multiply and put in a general square root, which is A times B will give you AB. That means that root 2 times root 3 will give you root 2 times 3, which is equal to root 6. For the purpose of this class, we are just going to stop at the basic operations today. In the next video, we are going to consider simplification of single SURDS, and then how to change SURDS of the form A root B into single SURDS. I just hope you enjoyed the class, and I wish you all the best in the coming weeks and all that. Continue to like and share our videos. I'm always your maths tutor, and we'll continue to make sure we deliver on all fronts to make sure that excellence is achieved. Thank you very much.